Good afternoon, traders. Locks here with another tutorial video. And today I'm going to show you a new indicator called the GKD-M Baseline Optimizer. And this does the following. It optimizes the baseline, just like the title says. Amazing, right? So let's dive in and see exactly what that means. The idea with the baseline optimizer is that we test a specific baseline. In this case, we're testing T3, which is the Tilson T3. And then we test it with different periods injected in the baseline to then get kind of a distribution of long wins, short wins. And then we take this data on a per candle basis and then we inject the one with the highest win rate at, candle right here. And then we send that to the screen. We draw it on the screen and then we send that signal to the backtest. So the signals that are showing up right here aren't necessarily from a T3 of period 50 or 55 or 60. It adapts based on the win rate given the period at the current candle. All right. So let's look at the settings. This looks just like the regular baseline that you guys use, or the step baseline. You have your inputs here for source type. You have your inputs here for the baseline. One difference is this skip setting right here. You see it set to 5. What that does, it says, okay, let's start at 50, period 50, and then increment by 5 until we have 7 tests on the screen. 50, 55, 60, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This table right here shows the details. You got the period, obviously, the dates of how far back you're testing. You have, longs and shorts, very simple. And then you have the percent win rate. Now, this one, it won 75% on 60, 65, and 70. That's cool. Okay. So it looks like that those are maybe some good periods to use, even though these are long, swarthy trades. Look at this, very long short and then a long up. So it's a little bit different than the T3, but you can, or sorry, from the HMA, but you can test anything you want right here. You can just switch to wherever the hell you want. That's simple. So let's buzz through some of the back test stuff here. Now, the back test that I'm using right here, and then I'll buzz through some of the other options on this. The back test that I'm using right now is just something that I will release soon. It's called the baseline not the baseline optimizer, the baseline back test. It's just to test a baseline, that easy. So it's just when price crosses over the baseline or under the baseline, or price signal crosses up or crosses down, depending upon the source type and other factors, then it will trigger a buy or a sell. It's that simple. So that's what we're using today. Other options on this baseline, and let's go through this right now. Let me minimize that. So just like every baseline, you have the Goldilocks zone, right? The Goldilocks zone doesn't do anything when you're testing the baseline. It doesn't have any effect on it whatsoever. But if we go in there and take a look at it, the Goldilocks zone is off right now. That means nothing for testing the baseline. But if we were to activate this for trading, right, and you can inject this baseline into any type of GKD backtest system, right here you have a full long or a full short, and that's a qualified short, it looks like. And that's because it's inside the zone, I guess. Let's see. Sort of barely right there, right? I might have to check that and nuke it. Actually, no, I'm wrong right there. No, that's not qualified. Yeah, that. This is just because we're testing over and under. If we were to trade this, it would be qualified here because price pulls back up into the Goldilocks zone, and then you can take the trade, right? There we go. That makes more sense. And then because it's actually the signal down here, I'm kind of being an idiot right now. There we go. So we'll turn that off right now. And so these have to be qualified in order for it to take the trade, and they're not qualified if there's no, dot up here. And qualification means that for shorts, it's inside this zone. For longs, it's inside this top zone. Now, the difference between this Goldilocks zone and the one that you normally see is this. This Goldilocks zone has breaks, right? There's no Goldilocks zone here. And that's because of the way this baseline, because it's a GKD-M, which stands for metamorphosis, this baseline breaks right here and there's no signals whatsoever. And that's acceptable because we're morphing and adapting the baseline over time. Also, you'll see that the baseline Goldilocks zone, unlike the regular baseline, sometimes is both um, long and short at the same time. So let's take a look at what that looks like, because that might freak you out a little bit. We'll go into Bitcoin. Let me see if I can find an area that it's going to do that. Oh, right here. Now check this out. That's kind of wacky. So the baseline is here green. It's red here. That's because they're two separate baselines. These are two separate moving averages based on these values right here. They're totally independent. So if you were to do longs, then this could totally be a real long that you could take right here, right? Because it's inside this zone if you're using Goldilocks zone. But at the same time, it could be a short here as well, right? If it did qualify in the zone and you were using Goldilocks zone. So that's why I would suggest you separate longs from shorts and set up back tests separately using the full option, right? Full longs, setting properties to something ridiculous so you catch all longs and shorts. But that's the idea. So with this baseline, you're going to want to do that. Otherwise, you won't catch all of these longs and shorts because they overlap. See where this massive overlap right here? And that's totally acceptable because inside this zone, if you're testing longs and shorts, you're going to take a long here. You might take shorts here on a continuation short down, even though you would have shorted this break right here down, right? So you get the idea. So this is very advanced. It works a little bit different than the other baselines because you have this double up zone. You have double up signals here. So you want to test them separately. Now, if I turn this off again, let me show you what happens here. Oops, not that. Let's turn off the Goldilocks zone and see different colorations that you're not used to. Right here, wait for it to load. See, it's yellow. Yellow means that there's both a short, well, it's both downtrend and uptrend at the same time. And that's the case because we're using two different moving averages. Okay. So yellow means long or short in this zone if there's a signal on, any of these. Whereas red just means short, green means long. That's simple. Kind of complicated, but you'll get used to it. All right. So with that said, let's burn through some tests real quick here because I don't want to make this video too long. We have 20 minutes max and we're already at 7 minutes. So the way I'm going to set this up is, let's see if we can fit this all on the same screen so you can see what's happening at the same time. And I'll open this ticker up a little bit more so you can see what ticker they are. Good enough. All right, so we got 1 inch right here. Okay, that doesn't qualify. Remember, our qualification is 70% or 2.0 profit factor. Nope. Nice. And I'm hoping we get some good tests out of this. You'll see that this was 85, this was 75, 6.0, and then the profit factor was pretty high. There's a 2.3 profit factor. That's 83% hit rate, 4.78, and these are all just longs. This is longs, right? We're just qualifying longs. And you see some of these, this one doesn't hit, even though you have 100% right here, right? 80% on shorts. But you take a look at something like this. Let's go back one. 100%, we got 87% out of it. That's nice. Now you can say, well, why don't we just use the one with 80? Well, that's just not how it works. This morphs over time, right? If we were to use the 80, sure, we could get that, but it doesn't mean that it's going to hold. So we have this adjustment for the future if you're just to let this ride and it automatically adjusts. So sometimes it'll be greater than this number right here because of the adaptivity. Otherwise, it's just stuck to that. You don't have to adjust anything. It's just if you set this for 50, set it at 5 increment, done right there. 87 does it for you. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't break on us. Is this one dead? Yeah, that's not good. Let's see here. 80%. You see one right there, 80% up here, 77% here. So the adaptive one is better than had you just plugged in the 50, right? Look at this, zeroing in 100%. Don't have to ask many questions. It just does its thing and works. And I will make videos showing this imported into, you know, other types of backtests. But for now, I'm just showing you how this looks, um, testing it alone, so you guys get the idea of how it works. This is the most complicated and complex indicator that I've ever produced. So there is a lot going on here, but I think it might be worth it, obviously, and you'll see why after this back test here. You notice how many that we're qualifying right now without even adjusting anything. It's a pretty good sign. And then I'll give you some perspective. And that one qualified, yeah. Let's see. We have a few more. We're just going to go through the A's. I'm not going to worry about anything else right now. Okay. And we have 20. So we qualified 20 out of like, I don't know, 34, 35, something like that. 33, 35. So on this list, if you do, what if we do the math on that? Well, I'm not going to pull up my calculator. Actually, let me just do the calculator on my phone. Even though it's about, 2/3 or something like that, we're going to do it accurately, as close as we can. 34. So it's about 58%, right? So that's pretty damn good, considering that if you pull up a baseline on this and you were just to run through these, most likely you're only going to pull out, I'd say 13 max out of this. So you're getting this upward hit of 20. If you were to filter this out, if I was using a solo confirmation complex with Fisher transform and Hurst and HMA baseline, I could weasel out maybe 20 to 22, 23 out of this. So the idea that a baseline alone is hitting 20 already without filtering, without verification of the trend, that's pretty damn good. So, and T3, it could be a special case. You'll have to test other things to see. But it's just what I ended up doing for this video and what I've been using to test whether or not the indicator works, to see what happens. So that's how this whole thing works. If I were to switch this to shorts, I'll just do a couple of them real quick so you can see how that looks. The switch over. Let's pull this back up on cryptocurrency. We'll go to 1 inch and then let's switch this back. Well, not back. We're going to just switch it to shorts. There we go. And we'll just buzz through a couple here because I actually didn't even test shorts at all. But you can see there. These numbers already aren't bad, right? Uh-huh. Oh, that did qualify, yeah. And I'd say normally like this on a solo confirmation complex, you would get less shorts to qualify using the same system that you would long qualifications. So actually, let's go through the rest of this real quick. 20 minutes is, we've got about 7 minutes left, but we're not going to take up the full time. And we'll just compare this to what we saw longs do. And I'm hoping that it does 20 as well, because that would be excellent. It would kind of prove the point that the win rate adaptive indicator might be something you can add to your war chest. Nice. It's looking like we might get close. Okay. And you'll have to test T3 obviously by yourself with just the regular baseline indicator instead of the win rate adaptive to see, is it something that is useful? Let's see. 18, so we got close. Wow. That's actually pretty damn good for shorts. I think if we switch this down to, something like, I don't know, Maybe we start at 35. Maybe we get some better results for shorts. In fact, let's just try a few. Even though, there's no guarantee that that's the case. But we'll see what that looks like anyway. Okay. Nice. I don't know if that one qualified before, but that one does, yes. 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 That one's terrible. 25%. Yikes. And in fact, maybe we just go through the whole thing here very quickly. Now we're on a losing streak. Oops. That doesn't qualify. Yeah, we got that. So with T3, by the way, the test we used for longs and shorts previously, as I already explained, it's a very long baseline, right? You're using a very long period. So you're taking these huge trend shifts versus something like the HMA where you're taking a lot of trades, right? So you really have to adjust your system accordingly and maybe use some different sort of confirmation indicators than you normally would if you were using HMA and the HMA 60. Almost done with this one, and then we'll kind of compare it to what the one was starting with 50 and see if we found anything interesting. Alternatively, with this indicator, you don't hook it up to a backtest, and then you just use it to optimize a baseline. And that's what I would say is probably the most useful. Even though this adaptive type win rate thing is cool, you'd have to really test it a lot to justify it. So that's a 16 right there. So that was less than what it was before. So it looks like if we stuck with 50 as a starter and then, increment by 5, that was the better one. It's not the best one. The best one, you'll have to find that. But the idea would be, if you can qualify 65 to 75% of cryptocurrency, that would be awesome. That means you've got a great little system there. Let's buzz through some of these forks real quick. Well, we have about 2 minutes left. It's going to take a minute for this to load, but hopefully we have enough time. Okay, so 68. That's not actually qualified, but it's close. And then we'll get through the rest of these, and then we'll be done. And these are on shorts. Let's just do longs. Qualifies. So we had one. The other one, it wasn't close. It was like 58%. But maybe it does well with Confluence otherwise. But you'd want to probably use a different moving average here for 4x, obviously. And then test it differently, of course. I forgot that we're still on the 35 starting, I think, right? Let's see. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I should have put it at 50. So I'm going to end the video. That's it for today, folks. I'm going to release this indicator later today. But there you have it, the GKD-M Baseline Optimizer. It's called the GKD Metamorphosis Baseline Optimizer. It has the option just to optimize and the option to optimize and inject an adaptive win rate signal into the backtest. So you'll see that later today on your VIP accounts. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.